Parental alienation. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had. Hey everyone, Red Rebel Jeff Jones here, and in this video I want to talk about a controversial aspect of family law, which is parental alienation. I think the fact that this area is so controversial is partly the reason why it needs to be talked about. Now before I get into it, please like and share this video to give it a boost, and subscribe to the channel if you like the content that I make. So, what is parental alienation? Parental alienation is defined as an array of behaviours, processes and outcomes when a child's resistance or hostility towards one parent is not justified, and is the result of psychological manipulation through a range of abusive behaviours by the other parent. Essentially, it means when one parent intentionally turns a child against the other parent, usually for personal gain, but it could be for financial gain or legal gain as well. Is parental alienation recognised? Well, not by the DSM. The DSM-V Task Force Committee clearly articulated a view that parental alienation is a relational phenomenon rather than a pathology which can be residing within any one individual within a family. Therefore, they have included labels such as child affected by parental relationship distress in place of parental alienation, but it essentially means something pretty much the same thing. Now currently, the American Psychology Association is reviewing its position on parental alienation. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't finished its review. It is illegal to alienate a child from one parent in a couple of countries. The two that pop into my head right now is Romania and Mexico. And I think an interesting fact that when I was researching this that kind of popped into my head. When was it first used? When was the first instance of the term parental alienation used? It turns out to be a lot longer than I thought. It was probably first used by Albert Einstein in 1914, where he wrote about his relationship with his children after separating from his first wife. Is parental alienation recognised in Ireland? Well, the group Alienated Children First has advocated for parental alienation to be recognised as a crime, and for legislation to be introduced making it a crime. And they've actually done quite a lot of good work. Every single city and county council in Ireland, except one, has passed a motion recognising parental alienation as a crime. Can't actually recall the one that hasn't. What is it? Offaly. Offaly is the one that hasn't. I wonder why. That's an interesting one. But despite this consensus on the local level, the Irish government has avoided tackling this issue. I wonder why. Now, interestingly enough, parental alienation is not a gendered issue. It happens to both men and women. But yet one of the most interesting things about it is that feminist organisations disagree on whether it happens. They call out men's advocacy groups when they bring up parental alienation, saying that it's an excuse for abusive fathers to continue to abuse their spouses and children. Well, say by that logic, then it's also an excuse for abusive mothers to continue to abuse their spouses and children. It works both ways. However, most experts agree that parental alienation is not a gender problem. It happens to both men and women. So I think it should be an issue where men's groups and feminist groups could work together for a common goal. And yet, that's not what's happening. I think what's interesting about parental alienation is that it shouldn't be that controversial of a subject, and yet it is. I think the reason why, partly anyway, is because it's men's groups that are bringing it up. And feminist groups have this bias where they believe that they have to be against anything men's groups bring up in every aspect. That doesn't really kind of make much sense though. I think it kind of shows kind of an inherent inability for the feminist movement to grow. But also, and I think this is an important part, by rejecting the idea of parental alienation, the feminists are actually ignoring the women that are affected by it. Because it isn't a gender issue. It happens to women. I think the reluctance of women's groups to acknowledge parental alienation as a legitimate issue, I think it means that the children are the ones that are going to suffer the most from it. And they're going to continue to suffer until this issue is dealt with. So what do you guys think? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. Parental alienation is child abuse. Pure and simple. It should be an area of common ground between men's groups and women's groups. I think the fact that it isn't shows who's really thinking of the children. And it ain't the women's groups.